what we're gonna do. We've been studying for 5 hours and I have no clue what any of this means.
I know, Ted. Like, what even is ancient Venice?
I'm gonna have an F in world.
Yeah, me too.
Well, we've been studying for 5 hours. Let's just go get a snack. I can't even focus.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go. What would you like?
Whoa,
there's a big...
Whoa, Ted, where are we?
What is this place? Bill, what are we gonna do now?
I don't know, Ted. You're in Venice, baby. Let me show you around.
Okay.
Venice came into being after the fall of the Roman Empire in the West. The Lombard hordes, whose incursions into the northern Italy began in AD 568, drove great numbers of mainlanders into the islands of the lagoon. When the mainland Byzantine Empire city of Osro fell to the Lombards in 1641, political authority was shifted to one of the islands in the Venetian lagoon. There followed decades of internal political strife among various settlements, alliances with the Franks of Italy, and placed Venice under authority of the Italian King Pippin in order to free themselves from the Byzantine control.
Wow.
Through a Franco-Byzantine treaty of 814, guaranteed Venice political and judicial independence from the rule of the Western Empire.
Good to know.
Well, that was cool and all, but I kind of wish we learned more about the geography.
Let me show you the geography.
Oh, okay.
The geography of the land. The lagoon served as a protection in 1380 and acts as a natural sewage system with the tides flushing out the city canals twice a day, combined to the lower land level, creating a serious flood problem, even today.
I wonder what's on this land.
Wait, is that a building over there?
What, that? Over there? That's St. Mark's Clock Tower, also referred to as the Moor's Clock Tower. Constructed in 1496, it is a very impressive building during this time. The lower section of the structure hosts an arch that allowed connections between the political and religious hubs in the city. Now, during the 16th century, our city began to economically decline from its impressive status it held during the 1400s. However, while we were financially booming, our architecture did not reflect our wealth as well as the 1500s did when we were falling. Isn't that funny? In order to keep the people happy, the state tried to hide the city's economic problems with gorgeous architecture such as the Zucco, Library of San Marco, Laghetta facing the Doge's Place, Fabbriche Nuove di Rialto, where markets were pleasant, and those were all works of Jacopo Sansovino, one of our most famous architects. He additionally built palaces for the patrician families such as Dolphin and Corner. These displayed many columns, long stretching facades, opulent decorations, and balance throughout the estates. Due to Venice's high publishing rate, unique styles could be discovered by patrons. They especially had an interest in what they called modern architecture. Thus, this excitement quickly caused the construction of villas in both the city and rural outskirts. Architect Andrea Palladio established the convergence of the working farm and classic illusion styles that began to set the base for what we now know as Venetian architecture. Palladio's expression for the San Giorgio Magorii, which begun in 1566, created the ideas we associate with the late Renaissance Venetian religious architecture. It created a template which many churches would follow, continuing on into the 1700s. Andrea's influence is quite different from the works such as the Scuolo di San Rocco Church, which shows more traditional and ostentatious exteriors.
It's good to know what's on this land.
Yeah, it is, but I was also wondering how many people live here.
Venice's population grew prolifically during the classical era. From the year 1510 to 1575, the population of Venice went from 115,000 to 160,000 as they endured their own golden age due to the amount of trade with the Ottoman Empire. The movement of people, commodities, money, ideas, and innovations that traveled with them on the trade routes. However, they also rendered it particularly vulnerable to the spread of disease. Ever since the plague returned to Europe in the 14th century, the positions in Venice and other Italian cities as a center of trade put them at the front line of epidemics. The variation of plague that hit around 1575 had the most devastation, as between a quarter and a third of Venice's population died from the epidemic at the time, with around 50,000 deaths.
Wow, that was awesome. Yeah, it was. But what's that guy doing over there?
Wow, that's so cool!
Okay, so with the language that we speak here is called the Venetian dialect.
Awesome.
And for the Dialetto del Mar, which means the language of the sea. So it's a mix of Venetian, Italian, and Latin. It's these two languages that make up the Venetian dialect, as well as a lot of words from the Arabic language because of our connection with the Middle East. And so there's a mix for a lot of the Islamic words like tarifa.
I wonder who's in charge around here.
That would be the government.
Okay.
The Republic of Venice was a political and economic decline had begun by around 1500, and by the 18th century the city of Venice largely depended on the tourist trade, as it still does, and the Stato dei Mar was largely lost. It was based in the lagoon communities of the historically prosperous city of Venice and was a leading European economic and trading power during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, the most successful of Italy's maritime republics. By the Middle Ages, it held significantly territories in the mainland of northern Italy, known as the Domini di Terra Firma, along with other...
Ted, where are the women here? I mean, really?
Venice, during the post-classical era, was a heavily patriarchal society. However, the Counter-Reformation played a major role in defining the role and status of Italian women during the 16th century. Women were widely viewed as emblems of Catholic morality, serving primarily as matriarchs of the domestic household. They were instructed and expected to become devoted mothers and to rear and raise their children as proper Christians. The protection of a woman's chastity was vitally important, especially for younger women. Nevertheless, in some pamphlets, parents were advised to prevent their daughters from participating in any forms of recreation that could potentially threaten their proper moral upbringing. Regardless of this oppression, however, women still managed to exert some influence on economic and social relations through the acquisition of dowries and management of the family's wealth and income.
So beautiful.
Who's that?
I think that's Marco Polo. It's me, Pero Tafur. I am a traveler from Cordoba, Spain, and have seen Venice many times on my journey. You can read it in my book, Pero Tafur Travels and Adventures, written in 1435 to 1439. It has always been odd to me how tightly squished their buildings are, especially with so many living here. They don't need physical barriers such as walls since they have strong seas to protect them, and the city is so secured due to the fact that if they were under attack, the Venetians could intentionally sink a boat to block their entrances. Additionally, instead of animals, everyone rather owns their own boats to transport themselves. These boats are wonderfully decorated, such as how we try to maintain a proper appearance while riding steeds back home in Spain. They use these boats to travel to the mainland and gather goods, especially drinking water. Their churches are astonishingly gorgeous. I especially admire St. Mark's Cathedral with its Greek domes and lead exterior. The beautiful mosaics covering the walls and floors, and their prideful 4 brass horses taken from Constantinople when they conquered it. Everyone here mainly seems to be quite wealthy, which is different from other places I've seen. The people's wealth could easily be seen during the festival Carnival. There were multiple dresses during this event, and were merely part of the middle class, Either way, I still thoroughly enjoyed the celebration. It smells wonderful all around due to the incense and Venetians travel with. They quite enjoy punishing others. For instance, a man was killed because he wasn't obeying the city's treaty. Not only did they murder this man, but they transformed his home into a shack for killing and displaying a monument of him in chains. A captain was rumored to be acting in opposition to the city, and so they ripped his tongue clean from his mouth and tortured him to death, burying him with a tombstone displaying a damaging epitaph, "Here lies the traitor." These, oddly enough, were common occurrences in Venice, yet the architecture and citizens I have witnessed are so astonishing. I am still astonished by their bountiful wealth and how they hold the whole world in their hands. Oh look, it's a boat! I wonder what that's for. Welcome to Venice. Here in Venice, we are the Roman Catholics. But, however, we are touched by the Islamic influence. But even though we do a lot of trade with the Muslims in the Byzantine Empire, we still remain mostly Roman Catholics. Except we are not caught up in the religious fervor of the rest of Europe. So the Pope doesn't really like us all that much. So yeah.
Oh my god, look at the time. It's getting late.
Oh my god, we're gonna miss the test.
Let's go.
Yeah.
B. Oh my god. Alright, let's go back to studying for a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. I'm so glad that Marco gave us this bunny to take home.
I know, what a G.
I don't feel like we need to study anymore. We learned so much.
I know, I'm feeling very prepared for this history
And I'm
test.
excited to tell Mallon tomorrow.
Woo!